Welcome to the Den. This is a podcast where we talk with foreigners who live in Japan and who visits Japan as well to see their insight on what they think about this country. And today we have a guest. If you can introduce yourself.
Talafalava, hello, konnichiwa. I'm Rosa. I am a teacher here at an international school here in Japan, or in Tokyo. I am from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm Samoan. I have lived in Japan for around 8 years. Time flies. You wouldn't believe it. Time flies when you're having fun and enjoying your job. I am also a podcaster and a bookstagramer. I'll probably talk about later. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so nervous.
We're glad to have you today.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. How do you know Jayden?
Only the good parts.
I want the bad part. I want the bad part.
I know Jayden through, we have New Zealand, our community here, Kiwi community. And so that's where I know Jay from Ngāhua Whā, which is like a kapahaka group. We have kind of like my family away from home. And a lot of expat. There are athletes, there are teachers, business owners, school owners. So it's a community made up of so many talented folks, but from Aotearoa. So, and there's there are those of us from the Pacific Islands in there as well. So that's how I know Jay. I feel like we go way back. It's been that long.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Okay.
For real.
It's like a cool little community that we have, just family, friends away from home. Sometimes, I love Japan, love mixing and mingling with the culture, but sometimes you just want to escape from that, and that's the good times that we hang out together. Sometimes we had barbecues at the river. That was a cool time. Meeting at the embassy for events, eat some good food, free drinks, everything. So it's a cool little community that when we do get together, it's always good fun.
Yeah, and I think like what Jayden was saying, it's that family away from home, because you kind of move to Japan and part of it is being out of your comfort zone, making new friends, meeting new people, but just always knowing that we have that community there, like when we're going through rough times or, we can't get back home for events and things like that. It's just so nice to know, man, I got my whānau, my ainga, kāinga there, so that's pretty special. So, yeah.
It's interesting. Your guys' community is so tight. It's different from other
it is.
Country. Especially I'm from the United States.
Oh, are you?
Well, I didn't even know that. But okay. Wow, that's cool.
Oh, are you?
I was born in Japan, yes. But I was raised in the States. But I always thought I wanted a community like that, of English speakers. So it's really nice to hear you guys have a community of your own country, all your own culture. There are those people who do things for that. So I'm sure you talked about your comfort zone. Jayden, the longest I have known him, his comfort zone is if you walk into his comfort zone, oh God, be prepared to get slapped in the face.
Yes, he knows. Almost.
You came to Japan 8 years ago. What was the decision to come to this country?
Well, I'm going back to the comfort zone. There was an opportunity that came up for a job, and I had never actually taught at an international school before. So, I applied for this job and I got offered the job. I think more than anything, I was at a point in my teaching where I was really kind of losing the passion for teaching. It was so exhausting. I was always just so tired. It felt like teaching life never stopped. It felt like it was 24/7, always working, always trying to get ahead of work, always trying to catch up. And as a Pacific Island teacher, Māori teachers as well, it's always that you're the go-to in your school. So I was feeling pressured and just exhausted. So when this opportunity came up, I was like, it's an opportunity. I'm really a firm believer in things happen for a reason, in God's timing. So I took it as hey, I have to step out and try this, and we'll just trust the process. And then, then I said yes to the job and came August. So 2014 December, just before Christmas, was offered the job. I interviewed, got offered the job, and then came in August the following year because it's the contract's August to August. So
okay. So before that, you couldn't speak Japanese, right?
Yeah. No. Okay. So I gotta rewind a bit. No. Okay. So here's the thing. So my story's a little different because when I came to Japan in 2015, I was not even stressed about it. Yes, I was nervous about entering the international school circuit with no experience there, even though I had experience as a teacher, but it's so different. But coming to Japan was just oh, cool, man, I've been there before. So I was not a lot of people I arrived with, they kind of were stressed finding places to live, getting furniture, navigating their way around. For me, I was just no, I'm all good. I'm used to it because I had done the JET program before.
Wow, that's cool. Because I didn't know you came over for the JET program, man. How that influenced you to come back. Because I don't know if you've met Agnelia.
Yes.
Yes, Agnelia. So we had her as a guest on the podcast once, and she's currently doing the JET program.
Left in a month or so.
Well, she came here and then she went back to New Zealand again. Yeah. Now she's back. But she's doing the exact same program that you're doing. So it's cool to see how what she's doing now, I don't know, she might come back, she might not, but how that JET program can influence you to come back again and work as an actual proper teacher.
I mean, what's interesting about the JET program, you will hear many experiences, you will read many blog experiences. But that program, you can either, again, I think you make your experience because some people's stories, and we don't discredit anyone's story. Some people's experience are they just do nothing, or they just do what's given to them and they teach, because you're an assistant language teacher. So a lot of the times you're just there for communication English, right? So real hands-on language learning activities. Now, some people, they love that. That's their element. But other people really struggle with that because especially when you're coming from the Western, what are considered native speaking countries, right? Like Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, the UK. So there's always that the power structures, especially in Japanese schools. So I think sometimes it's a real struggle when you come into that scene and you're kind of oh, but I want to do it this way. But then there's the Japanese language teacher that's in the classroom. They do things a certain way. So I think I was very fortunate and it was such a blessing that I had teachers who allowed me to have a say. But that's just my experience. Other people have had different experiences. I was able to work with them to plan activities, listening activities, speaking activities. They were very cool Japanese English teachers. So I was very lucky in that sense. And I think also that adds to why I wanted to just be a teacher because it was understanding that, I think I can actually make an impact in someone's life, in a young person's life, or maybe my love for reading can influence, kids and get them into reading. And
what I'm interested is that I have a kid right now who I want him to go to international school because I want him to learn English as a main language and Japanese probably second language. I don't know which one's gonna be main, but so I was really interested in how international school systems in Japan works.
So because this is my first time at an international school, so we say that Japan is our host country because we are living here in Japan. So it's it's just you hear English everywhere. I know that a lot of parents, exactly what you said, I want my child to attend international school because of learning English. And that really is a lot of the goals of parents. So my answer to that is it really depends on your goals. What goals do you want? Okay, so clearly speaking English is one of them. I think, the shift in international schools in general, that's ever since what happened in the US. I mean, this is important for you to know because I think a lot of parents really they focus on the English part because long term you want your child to go overseas or you want them to be able to have other languages. So actually most of our kids speak 3-4 languages, 2-3 languages, a lot of them Japanese. So what we're really trying to instill in our students, but also for our parents to understand is the importance of Japanese or Chinese or Korean. That, yes, English is, of course, in most cases, the dominant culture language, but also understanding that there's a lot of value in being able to speak your mother tongue as well and stuff like that.
It's interesting because like in my case, I just want my kid to be in an English environment, to learn the language, to be able to use the language itself. In Japan, that's very difficult to do. It's because it's a very monocultural environment. So Japanese is a must. So that's why like even in Jayden's case, like you were able to obtain Japanese fairly quickly. I'm guessing. So it's not that difficult. But like in order for a Japanese person to gain English, it's a very difficult environment to do. Even if it's Chinese, Korean, other language. That's why I just want to use international school as a method for my kid to speak English, to use the language. Because in the end, I want my kid to speak not just two, but multiple language. Spanish being the main another language as well to learn, because Spanish is another language that's very highly used. South America, Spain, Portugal. Even if it's Portuguese, it's still similar to like a Spanish language as well. Chinese, Mandarin, definitely another language to learn. So I just don't want to limit my kid in one area.
I think it's great, like what you're saying, and that makes so much sense. And like it starts in the home, like you can speak
I make
English
my environment like just English. I only speak English to my kid, so just for him to like get used to.
And I like I think kids.
I can just imagine you looking at me. How's it going? Does he reply back?
No, of course not. Can't. I speak English. My partner speaks Japanese to her, so he's getting confused.
No, I mean,
like, where am I?
I mean, I think it's great that there's both languages there, and I think that's important. I think kids at a very young age are able to pick up languages a lot faster. It's always about that long-term goal, right? Which is important. Like, what goals do you have for? It's always about the future. A lot of parents, that's the mindset, right? It's not just what we are doing now. It's like long-term, these are going to be the benefits of it. So, of course, languages are always very important. And I think, especially in international schools, well, my experience of 8 years in an international school, that's all I'm speaking on, is that it's just this mentality that English is the end all and and what we're trying to instill in students is saying, sure, English, it might help you there, but I love that you brought up like Spanish, Portuguese, Mandarin is another language. Like I think there's a huge shift in terms of like language learning, and we just want our students and parents to understand, just the importance of knowing self. Like you can speak many languages, but you also want to speak, like you want to be able to read and write in Japanese, you want to read and write, and you want to have a good balance there as opposed to strong in one, weak in another, right? Because so we can learn many things but never forget like your history and your people, your language and stuff like that.
I think what the Japanese parents who want their kids to go to international school, what they need to realize is that it's just a tool.
Oh yeah,
like
it's
language
a
is just
stone.
It's just a stepping stone. One part of a tool to use into your arsenal. It's
That's
like
important.
It's a very important weapon to have in a world of business as well. Being able to speak multiple language.
I love that.
So,
it's a weapon.
Yeah.
It's so for real. Sorry, carry on.
No,
I love that.
Cool.
That right there. Powerful. Seriously.
No, the language is it's a tool. If it's a tool, it becomes a weapon. It becomes your strength as well. So
stop. See, look. Oh my God, I'm so impressed. For real, yes. Can you come and do a speech at our school? No, what you're saying is just.
I get on stage and like all the kids are like,
"Who's this guy?"
No, like you're just that self-awareness. Like what you're saying makes so much sense. I'm like, yes, that's how people need to look at it. For real, man.
It's because I went through quite a lot when I was in America. learning two language, being bilingual can be very difficult. Like at home I speak Japanese, but outside I speak English. But because I had two languages to speak, two languages to learn, I wasn't perfect. In school, I was in a foreigner's English class. I was not in the normal English class.
Right.
So that's where I started out. The reason why I improved my English was through reading books. I read a lot of books. Yeah, I'm sure you love books, so yeah. Like books helped me actually get more vocabulary, more ways to like express myself, and that's how I became like much more better in English. So right now, Japanese is trying to catch up to that. I can't read books in Japanese. Can you read books in Japanese?
Can you read?
I can text in Japanese.
But no, books.
No books, no. But let's talk briefly about your books and your podcast. Where does this love for books, and I know that you use books as kind of like with your podcast as well. How does that all work out?
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, it always feels strange to say this, but I do host a podcast. I'm so embarrassed. No, I hate like.
I've been a guest on your podcast. I was very
yes.
I've been a guest on.
I appreciate you, bro. You know.
I thought you had a studio, but it was a remote. You use Zoom, I think.
No, yeah, I use StreamYard.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
It was good. We had it was at a time where I wasn't allowed to do outside interviews, but I was like, we'll be all good. Then I was
oh, really?
Yeah, it was like not long after the show came out.
Oh, really? That was that while ago?
We had to go through the PR. I was like, don't worry about it. Let's just do it.
Yeah, just quickly though, I do appreciate, Jayden was a guest on the show. Like, I realized there were all these like things that you had to kind of clear, but I appreciate you, bro, always. But yeah, I do host a podcast. It's called the Reads with Rosa podcast. The reason why it's called the Reads with Rosa podcast is because I'm actually a bookstagramer. So the reason why the podcast is called Reads with Rosa is because, I can barely look after doing one Instagram account. And I was just like, I'm not going to do another Instagram account for the podcast. So I just decided when I was going to do this podcast that, right, it's Reads with Rosa. And so it's not, the sole focus is not, it's about discussing books, but an element of it is, so I make it a requirement and ask all the guests to share a book recommendation. I think there's only been like maybe three.
I have read
he
books.
Did. He read.
During the journey, I read a lot. He's
judging you right now.
During the journey, I read a lot of books.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a requirement. It's like if you come on the show, you got to share. And I always say it can be a childhood favorite because a lot of people, some have come on the show and like, they've talked about how they don't really have access to books. They're not really much of a reader. They've only taken up recently. And they're like, is that okay? Is it like normal? And I'm like, like people have different journeys when it comes to reading. So the podcast is really about amplifying Pacific Islander, like BIPOC voices. So going back to that Black, Indigenous people of color. So I say it that way because I don't just have Pacific Islanders on the show. Like I've had some of my Black educator friends who have come on to share their journey in education, their journey in music and hip hop and stuff like that. So that's how I say it. I do hashtag like Pacific podcasts, but I've had just a wide range of people from musicians, visual arts, creative, like performing arts. I've had just teachers, so many different people. But again, they come on, it's like you must share like a book. So yeah, the podcast has been going since April 2021.
Oh. Wow.
So we're
senpai.
So, it's like I'm really like shamed to talk about it. And it's not no, because like I don't like the whole platform is about me giving flowers to the guests, meaning I want to bring people on the show who are just not getting, they're doing amazing stuff out there that inspire me. We all know Jayden's journey and like he just did something so out of his comfort zone. And I was like, bro, you need to come on the show and share that. Because I know Jay, but then I'm like, I want other people to know his story and that, he took a chance and took a risk, and being a risk taker is all good. Like, it's okay to be that, right? So everyone who's come on the show, I'm just all about giving them their flowers. So when it comes to people complimenting the show, I get really like, I feel some kind of way because I'm not really good with compliments. I know, no, because it's that imposter syndrome. Like, I think, like, as Pacific Islanders, like, we don't toot our own horn. Like, it's more about that collective kind of thing as opposed to, like, I don't want to be like, I just do it because I love it. But actually, I'm very introverted, like, yeah.
Like, you don't sound like an introvert.
Oi,
by the way. Like, when you're interested in something, you just like.
But it's because you guys have created. So on that, it's because I know I was super stressed coming here, but straight away, like, you created this like really safe space. Like, I feel like, okay, we're good. Like, it's very safe. Like, I feel like we can just chat and laugh, and do you know what I mean? So that's what's different.
Oh, can we go serious?
But other people have like actually like asked me to like, and I'm just like, I said to Jay, I was like, bro, if it wasn't you, I would like. It's just so, I'm so like Ma is like embarrassed, like just talking about it.
No,
but
I like that though. I like how you say give people the flowers. Like, I really understand that what you're trying to do, because your podcast is awesome. Like, I've listened to a couple of them. I really enjoyed your brother. Rosa's brother is a very well-known musician. That was a cool one. And then you had a director lady on there that directed that Tongan, the Tongan documentary. I saw that on the plane and I was like, whoa, that is a really good documentary. So you definitely have some very good guests that you've had. And
they're
even
amazing,
from that
man.
podcast, I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. This is like a Tongan lady that's directing a film, a documentary about her father. And then I watched that documentary and I learned so much about the Tongan culture then. And I was like, whoa.
Shout out to like, they recently just came back, I think, from the Sundance Festival, like a film festival. I don't know, is that in like San Francisco? Something like that, in the States somewhere. So a contingent of them went over there. They're also part of the Taro Patch creative community. I mean, Pacific Islanders are out there doing some really amazing things, and sometimes I have to pinch myself. Like, when I'm getting people on the show, like filmmakers, like authors, I had to pinch myself and go, Roses, like, who am I that they said yes? Like, I'm always like, I kind of, sometimes I just get emotional because I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that they just, well, first of all, support the podcast, because I'm really like a nobody. If you see the podcasts that are out there, like super, super famous podcasts by other Pacific Islanders, it's like, wow. But at the same time, I just want to give these people recognition because they're at the grassroots of the community doing just some inspirational stuff. And I'm like, I want to be like that. Oh, they inspire me so much, and I have teachers that come on, and like, it's just, yeah, I never thought I'd do a podcast because I'm just so like, always kind of like, I hate being in the spotlight, but what's exciting is just listening to their stories and going, oh my gosh, like, it's so cool. And I want my followers, which are probably mostly readers, and maybe music-oriented people, or the arts, I want them to see these people and follow them and get that same inspiration. Like, it's so cool, man. It's just amazing. And then the reading and them sharing books. Like, I've had some rappers on and you probably wouldn't even know that they read. And I want young people to go, the movement reads. I want, Anonymous reads, or Rizvan is a reader. Like, I want them to see these people. Big Seema reads. Like, I should read too. Because you know what? That's part of that advocacy, is for reading and for them to go, I can be an artist. Our friend Yoko, I can be Japanese, Tongan, and love both my cultures and create art that really speaks to who I am and my identity, and I can do it my way. I didn't have to do it the Western, Western constructs, like the Western way that says you should write a book a certain way, you should write your music a certain way to be accepted. No, these people are just using resources, community-based resources, and just doing amazing things like what you guys are doing here. It's really cool.
I'm not used to being complimented.
I mean, it's amazing, yeah. I mean, I walk it, like, when Jayden was kind of explaining, like, what you guys do, the setup and stuff, and I was just like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, nah, these guys are not playing around. Because I think people realize that people think that podcasting is easy.
It is.
I mean, it is, but it's also the editing, the things that are done behind the scenes. I think people, it's just like, wow, this is amazing, but they don't see the hard grind behind the scenes. And I that's why I just want to say, giving you guys your flowers for that, because I know that each of you have strengths that you're bringing to the table so that this podcast can be put out to the world. Like, it's not a one-man job. Like, you are both bringing something valuable and going, hey, these are my strengths. These are my strengths. Let's do it together. It's cool, man. Like, I think, yeah, flowers. Big ups.
You all of a sudden became the host.
Oh, sorry.
Like, wait, is this a different podcast? I thought this was a dead end.
So, yeah, I'm sorry. That was a very, very long-winded answer, but that's, podcasting. I kind of just fell into it. And I think if I wake up one day and I just don't want to do it anymore, I'm just going to stop. That's what I always say. Yeah.
No, like what you're doing is very inspirational because, like, having a voice. You don't have to be famous to have a voice. You if you use the platform, the resources that you have that's out there, anyone could be the voice. So you don't have to be like 1 million subscriber podcast influencer guy to do something what others are doing. I mean, like, podcasts, there's a different type of podcast. There's a different type of style. No podcast is the same. So having a voice, making a voice, getting people on to let the other viewers hear what other has to say is something that, it's a content. It's something you want to do. It's something you're passionate about. I think it's something you should continue to do and not be stressful over it. One thing about, like, being a creator is that, burnouts. There are real. People get them. So as long as you're passionate about it, as long as you kind of, like, enjoy yourself, I think you'll be fine. You seem like you enjoy yourself. But anyways, thank you for coming on at such a stressful times for you. Sorry.
No.
New Zealand thing?
No, just like...
No, really, really appreciate your time today, sis. Thanks for coming out. It was really cool to hear what you had to say about your schools, your podcast and all of that. I'm glad that we could give you your flowers because I know it's much deserved. I love that you have a voice and I hope that we can keep on hearing your voice, your podcast. Hit the link below.
Yeah, the link below.
Link below.
Read with Rosa on all platforms.
Yeah. But excited for your journey here in Japan. Love what you're doing. Always here to support you, like how you support us. And I know this is not going to be the last time we see you. You never know, you might be teaching.
I'm going to ask you which school you teach at.
So. 10 years time, you'll be having a little Suda. Naughtiest kid in the class. But no, thank you very much for your time, man. Appreciate your support always.
Thank you.
Any last word?
Be great.
Be great. Oh, love it.
Just be great. Be great and be happy.
Okay. What a way to finish this podcast. All right. See you guys in the next episode of The Den.